So it's been now a couple of months since the announcement that the Smashing Pumpkins were going to go on a worldwide search to replace Jeff Schroeder, the guitarist who departed in October last year. It's been radio silence around this, and we just sort of thought we'd check in, and we're going to give you a couple of updates on what has happened since the initial announcement. And at the end of the video, we're going to give you our thoughts onto what we think is going on here. But Al, good morning to you. Take us through the timeline here for those that might not know.
Yeah, good morning, mate. We live in interesting times. So on January the 8th, the band announced an open search for a new guitarist. And then on January the 17th, they received a staggering 10,000 applicants. That's pretty huge, mate. I know you were probably one of them, but we'll talk about that later. Then, of course, he sent out a newsletter in 2024, a newsletter that stated the band will be reaching out for potential people in spring. Now, of course, we're doing this video in Australia, and spring in America is around mid-March, about the 20th. So they've got a massive show coming up in London, and the band is looking to play on June the 8th. So how long does that give us, mate?
That's 79 days, mate. That is 79 days. That's not a lot of time at all.
Right.
I'm very intrigued as to what the plan is. How do you get 10,000 down to one? And I guess I think my question is to you, I mean, where should they actually be in this process now? What are you thinking?
So they've got 10,000 people and 8 people are reviewing. So they're obviously going to have some sort of system to get through it pretty quickly. But I don't know about you, mate. I've spent a bit of time having a look at these applicants, and some people are putting in 60, 90-minute kind of rehearsals to basically prove that they can play for a full kind of gig. And some of these guys are very, very talented. So I'm wondering if they are going to take each and every candidate seriously. Now, also to note that Jimmy Chamberlain is heading out by himself with his own band around this time, mate. So what will that have a bit of an influence there?
I was sort of thinking, 10,000, if you spend on average 5 minutes for every single submission, now there'd be something. I think that's a 3 to 4 week exercise. Look, let me know if you think I'm full of it. But I reckon they should have actually looked at all of the 10,000 by now. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if people are starting to be tapped on the shoulder, and when we come to spring, people will be, I guess, worded up that they've made the cut. But look, I guess the other interesting question is, what does that cut look like? I mean, how many should they be getting? I mean, a worldwide search, and you'd think that Billy Corgan would have to be funding the exercise. Like, he'd have to fly people somewhere, wouldn't he? What do you reckon?
Absolutely, mate. You're not just going to pick someone from a YouTube video. You're going to fly them over, and you're surely going to play a couple of gigs, or at least some practice sessions with the group that are seriously going to be taken into consideration here. So to sum this point up, mate, I just don't think there's enough time. I think either maybe someone's been tapped on the shoulder, or maybe there is a group of people that have been told that something's coming up pretty soon, but there's not much time left, mate.
It's a bit of a mystery, isn't it? Like, I mean, how would you get from 10,000 to the shortlist? I mean, what does that magic number look like? Because I would have thought that a lot of the people who were submitting entries were quite good at the catalogue. So they could actually, they've got the skills, right? Like, so even say that you get the top 10% and they've nailed the technical aspects of a Pumpkin song, you're still left with 1,000. Still left with 1,000. So how do you get that down? And I guess you're starting to look at who these people are, how they're presenting, what they're wearing. But then there's this whole other aspect, Al, around what your personality is, your likelihood to be able to work with a Billy Corgan. And you can only get those types of things when you meet them in person. So I'm just interested to know how many people are going to be shortlisted. And then if you sort of think about it, like, to fly someone from X to Y, I mean, you could be spending, I don't know, let's throw it up there, $10,000 to get someone to fly over from one location to another location, maybe put them up for a couple of nights to do the whole exercise. There's a bit of money there.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I just have this kind of feeling, Billy being the way that he is, would fly everyone to kind of one kind of venue and almost be like a fight to the death situation to win the grand prize of touring with Billy. I mean, that's another element, of course, of the application is, would you be able to put up with Billy's kind of antics for touring? But that's a whole nother separate video. I don't know, mate. I think this process has been really quite interesting, and I don't even really know what the application process kind of, what the questions were. I mean, most people are just kind of doing videos randomly on social media and sending them through. But did Billy ask anything specifically of what he wanted dressed in this kind of
I don't think so. I think it's pretty much the just putting the video up and the recordings up. And a lot of people have obviously done that on YouTube to show the world. I mean, maybe there is an element of throwing it to YouTube and seeing, you know, who are the most popular ones. So Jonathan Espeche, we did in our previous video, and he's obviously racked up quite a number of views. But look, there's a bunch of precedents as well around replacement. There's probably three of mine that I've got. And, you know, in Excess, for instance, they did a whole show for Michael Hutchins back in the 2000s, and there were 50,000. 50,000, that's a lot more than 10,000 applicants. But, you know, it was a 7-month process. It was a 7-month process to get to the end of that particular process with the new singer, JD Fortune, and he only lasted a year. Metallica took 2 years. You know, even Guns N' Roses around back in the 90s, you know, Izzy Stradlin, they got Gilby Clarke. You know, he had only 7 days to learn the back catalogue. So that really comes back to our final views, what we think is going to happen. And Al, take us through what do you think, how this is going to play out?
So I'm on team Jonathan Espeche, mate. I've looked at quite a few of his videos going out. I just think he just nails all the criteria in terms of his presence, his guitar ability. I think he will just be an absolute asset to the band. So I'm on team Jonathan Espeche. I mean, the guy's receiving 10,000 views a kind of video. So there's lots of awesome comments kind of backing him up, mate. So he would be my front runner at this stage, mate. What are your thoughts?
I've got a couple. I think that it's potentially an in job, but one where you're going to see the competition play out. So it might be a pro that they end up getting, or they could actually delay the decision beyond the tour. Like, I mean, they can just get a supporting musician, have the tour run as it runs, and they could wait. I mean, it could be the big reveal when they get around to recording the next album. So that could be the other thing. And I just look at the time, mate. Again, 79 days, not a lot of time. But we'll see how that plays out in the coming weeks. But we'll keep an eye on that and provide updates here in Indie Minds once we sort of find out anything more to say. But that is our, I guess, update on the search for the Smashing Pumpkins' new guitarist.